Well, good evening. This is Wednesday and it's map show time, and I'm excited to be with you, and I'm looking forward to engaging with the regulars, those of you who tune in every Wednesday evening and join in and share some of your insights and comments as we go. Map for Life has got some really exciting plans for 2023, and I trust that you are already thinking about how you can be more engaged in our purpose to make life purposeful, or should I say our mission to make life purposeful. And for those of you who've been part of Map for Life for some time, you will know that our mandate is to map the world. And we are taking it a step at a time. And it's wonderful this evening to have Henny Nivot all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa, who will be joining me in the panel discussion after a short talk. Tonight's topic is an interesting one because this week, and if you tuned in to show number 104 on Thursday last week, you would have heard Primrose talking about significance. And our gem for this week is about living a life of significance. But as we've been discussing it, one of the interesting words that have come up is the word struggle. And somebody said to me earlier this week, it's very difficult for people to be, or even to think about significance when they are struggling. And I thought about that for a moment, and I wondered how many people on the planet were actually struggling to breathe right now. And my answer was kind of not too many. I was wondering how many people are struggling to walk? And the answer was not too many. How many people were struggling to see, have vision with or sight with their eyes? And the answer was not that many. So when somebody says a person is struggling, what they're actually doing is measuring that person's ability by their financial wherewithal. And they're really saying that if you don't have enough money, then how can you think about being significant? Well, I want to talk a bit about this idea of struggle. And the example that I want to, or the picture that I want to share with you this evening is a story that goes back to the year 2012. And I was busy doing a mastery program in the city of East London. It's on the coast, the very southern coast of South Africa, about 1,000 kilometers from Cape Town for our international viewers. And we were right at the, we couldn't get closer to the beach, I think, than we were. We were on the edge of a river, and the view out of the big wall-size windows behind me as the trainer was the ocean. So you can imagine trying to engage an audience when all they could see behind me were the waves rolling in from the ocean, the birds, people enjoying themselves on the beach. But we had 3 incredible days of training. And during this time, one of the things that I started talking about was the power of a seed. And just before this evening started, I found a seed which I've been looking for. It sits right on my table here next to me, because this little seed is out of position. When I say out of position, it is in a place where it is not struggling right now. It is quite happy to be a seed. And I was talking about the concept of a seed, and I was saying, what's amazing about the seed is that if it could open its eyes and see, it would realize that there is absolutely no visible provision for the seed to build the tree that lies within its DNA. And so it would kind of talk about all the impossibilities. It would think about, maybe I've got to find a job, earn some money so I could provide the necessary carbon in order to build the tree. And it'll go through a lot of stories and a lot of planning, and maybe an enormous number of excuses as to why it is just a seed and not a tree. And while I was busy sharing these thoughts with the group that I was training on that particular day, Anne went outside the venue because she had seen what we used to call lucky bean seeds. They're not too different in size from this dark brown seed that I'm holding right now, but they are bright orange, some a deep red in color. And when I was at school, we had a coral tree outside of our classroom, and every year the ground was covered with these seeds, and we used to pick them up. We used to do all kinds of things with them, sometimes even make necklaces out of these seeds. But Anne began to collect a whole lot of these seeds, and she brought them into the training room, and she was busy at the back of the room, busy sorting out these seeds. She had a saucer, a small plate that she was putting all the really nice seeds in, and the dark ones she was separating out. The ones that didn't look so nice. She was putting them to the side. Just like my grandmother used to go through the rice before she would put it in the pot to cook it. I don't know if your grandmother did this, but my grandmother would spread out the rice on the kitchen table, and she would seek out all the dark bits, remove them, so that when she cooked her rice, it'll all be fluffy white rice with no dirty specks. And so Anne was busy doing this little exercise until she found the worst looking seed out of this whole group. And when she found the worst looking seed out of the whole group, she saw a small white shoot coming out the side. This seed, which had absolutely, it had shriveled up, it had died, the seed, or rather the skin of the seed, had begun to split. It was clearly that this seed was dead, actually was alive, because the tree that was in the seed had been set free and germination had begun. So when I look at the seed and I look at people in life, people are striving to be like this seed. They want to remain perfect. They want to remain unbroken. They want to be the best looking seed in the room. And they're striving to keep their seed in pristine condition. In fact, if you were in Christian circles and you had to go to church on a Sunday, and you had a little bit of struggle during the week, you may say things like, I've been under such attack this week. And we talk about the incredible struggle, and we would want somebody to pray for us because of all this attack. But after seeing that seed, the one that had been through the struggle and decided to let go of the bright orange color of the seed, that it allowed itself to degrade to the point where the tree that was hidden within the seed could germinate. I realized that beyond struggle doesn't have to be what we are striving for, which is stability onto success, to the point where we're the best looking seed in the barrel. Yet people think that's the journey we should be on. struggle is actually the interface. It's the breaking point. It's the place where change happens. It's the place where transformation begins. It's the place where new birth occurs. So struggle is something that we should relax with, not fight against, in the context of dying to self so that you can release the very purpose for which you're born. You see, when you try and remain a seed, you are wanting to covet all the credit for yourself. You're wanting to boost your own glory. You're wanting to have the title. You're wanting to have the platform. You're wanting to have all those great things, the name, etc., etc. But to live a life of significance, you've got to get to the point where you are prepared to let go and let God, as they say. Let go of trying to hold on to that false image that you've always been portraying to your friends and family and the other people in society. To let go of that and to become authentic, to become true to the burn within you to be what you were born to be. And so after struggle or beyond struggle is not the stability and the success that you seek. Because if you climb that ladder, even when you reach what you would perceive to be successful compared to where you are today, you're going to feel like somebody who's in a place of struggle. And the reason you're going to feel like you're in a place of struggle is because being in the place of struggle is the perfect place for giving birth to your true self. I think of this seed that I hold here. I can keep the seed. In fact, it's been on my desk for 12 months already. And it's still a seed. But I can tell you this, if I take the seed and I put it in a place where it does not want to go, if I put the seed into the ground, if I bury it in dirt, if I place a little bit of water on it, even if I don't put water on, I just leave it in the dirt. When the environment it is in is foreign to the seed, that environment is not going to attack the seed. That environment is going to release the tree. That environment is going to be conducive to the tree being born. And so you and I, sometimes we're in a place where we're trying to avoid certain situations and circumstances. There are certain environments that we don't dare tread in. We don't go to those places. But yet those environments that we are avoiding right now could and possibly do hold the very ingredient to release the true you, to allow you to give your gift away to society so that people can begin to live life in a transformed way because you've released the purpose for which you were born. So I think we can have a new perspective, one that is not pessimistic or negative about the curses that come our way. I was listening to an interview of Elon Musk a little earlier today because he's just had some sort of convention, and he was being interviewed. And right at the end of this interview, he was asked, "What advice would you give your children today, knowing about the fact that artificial intelligence may replace any career that they try and pursue right now?" And he stopped and he thought deeply. And you know what he said? He stole my grandmother's line. He said, I would tell them to follow their heart. I would tell them to do what they're passionate about. I would tell them to do something that brings meaning, that makes a difference in this world, something worth living for. And I thought, wow, What a powerful message. So I want to say to you tonight, stop complaining about the circumstance you find yourself in. Stop moaning about the curse that you have, or rather the blessing that you've incorrectly identified as a curse, or the release of the tree that is within you that you've identified as a struggle instead. Let's change our focus. Begin to realize that when you begin to change, something new is experienced. A lot of people talk about public speaking as one of the great fears in this world. And my conclusion has been this, is that when I'm excited about doing something, adrenaline is released, and that adrenaline prepares me to deliver a message powerfully. When I'm in fear or scared of something, my body also releases adrenaline, and it prepares me for that situation. In both circumstances, adrenaline is released, and in both cases, the feeling is the same. I've just got to learn to distinguish and realize that what I used to see as fear is actually not fear at all. It's preparing me to step in faith. So maybe this place of struggle that you've been living in for as long as you can remember. In fact, you might even see it as a generational thing. Your parents used to moan about their struggle. Your grandparents used to moan about their struggle. And you think that you may be making some kind of progress. But if you're moving in the wrong direction, struggle is going to be with you for the rest of your living life. But if you see struggle not as something that must be endured and that you've got to move forward, but rather the setting free of what you have been born to deliver, I think your view of struggle can be radically different. And you can see it as a blessing and not a curse. I hope that through sharing this message, I'm putting you on a journey that is one where you're going to seek alternative answers to the beliefs that you've always had. Significance is not beyond success. Significance is in the opposite direction completely. If you want to move from struggle to survival to stability to success, you're not going to fill the deepest desire of your heart. Fulfillment comes when you move in the opposite direction. You die to self, you submit to a greater authority, you surrender to God's plan for your life, you see yourself as a seed, and you germinate, and life comes forth. Life that perpetuates from generation to generation to generation, because it is fruitful life that comes out of a person who goes in that direction. Thank you for listening to this evening. It's going to be a wonderful discussion that we will have shortly after our little break. Both Henny from Johannesburg, South Africa, is going to be joining me, and also Peter or Petro all the way from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. The two of them are going to be joining me in discussion after the session. I can't wait to hear their insights. I see we have a number of posts as well, comments. Please tell us where you're from, what part of the world. We'd love to know, and share your insights and questions. See yourself as part of the panel. Let's go and explore what lies after or beyond struggle. There we are. We're all back, and just so nice to have somebody looking so colorful tonight there, Henny. All that, it looks like a modern day Joseph with his Technicolor dream coat.
It's my struggle jersey because it doesn't exist.
Well, welcome to this evening's session. And Petro, Karibo, is that how you say it in Tanzania?
Yes, Karibu means you are welcome. So thank you very much for that welcoming note.
I'd love to, just before we continue with the discussion, just very quickly. I see. This is wonderful. We have Kessie from Zimbabwe. Kessie, lovely to have you joining us tonight. And Charles, all the way from Kenya. It's so nice to and Ronald from Uganda. Goodness me, today's East Africa, East Africa Day. There must be a holiday in East Africa. Is Petro, is East Africa celebrating something special today?
Yeah, definitely not quite celebration, but happy to join the team today. So I love the after struggle discussion. So I'm waiting to share some insights and also listening from my colleagues. Thank you.
Great. Well, Petra, just I'm going to ask Henny just briefly introduce yourself to our audience, and maybe just one little thing that stands out in terms of the Map for Life methodology for you. Just briefly, something that really that you found very helpful. And once Henny's shared, then Petra, it'll be over to you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. So, like Glen said, I'm Andy from Roodepoort. I joined Map for Life in December and really made it a lifestyle. I think the one thing that stood out for me, the methodology is very structured and it tells you exactly what you need to do. But the one key thing is you have to have a vision. You need to know where you're going. And the one thing for me that tied up with that vision was really the word significance. And Primrose spoke about it as well. You have to be significant. If it's about you, then I don't think Map for Life is going to make such a big impact on you. You have to be significant. And I'm going to share a few things a little bit later that I took from Glen's talk. But the key word for me is significance. If you understand and truly live significance, life will start happening for you.
Great. Thanks, Henny. Petra? Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Hani. So my name is Petro James from Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, East Africa. I got Map for Life for the first time in 2019. So it was a great story for me and the journey that I'm enjoying almost every time that I get to sessions and also in my life. So Map for Life has transformed me in terms of my thinking perspective and also how I structure my life and also the goals and vision perspective that I have. And truly mapper, and I can testify in terms of the achievement I've made through since then. And I love it. And most of the sessions that we engage and transformation that I'm going through, so it's a life story to say. So for me, what I enjoy the most on Map for Life is aspiration for me to live a significant life. And I can truly see that along the way. And the accountability sessions and also being seen part of the team brings me a lot of joy in the way that I go through. And like today's session, when we talk about after struggle, you find yourself that really it's after struggle means that when you overcome something, then you really relax and you enjoy, celebrate. So that's what I love most on Map for Life.
You know, when you're talking about this struggle again, and I hope I'm not going to be stealing something from you, Henny or Petra, but I was thinking about something quite different to the seed, and I was remembering at this very same event, my youngest son shared a story about the moth breaking out of the cocoon and how it has to struggle to break through that cocoon. And if it does not if you open the cocoon so the moth doesn't have to struggle, what actually happens is it can't develop its wings and it dies. So it needs that struggle to develop its wings so that it can actually become fully what it was born to be. And I think that really just sums up what we've been talking about this evening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just exit the studio for a moment. I'm going to leave Henny and Petro to share some of the highlights from the talk yourselves. So if you can just have that interaction. I just want to make sure that my computer doesn't run out of battery power while we're busy. If it does go that way, Henny is my backup, so he'll be able to continue with the show. So just excuse me for a moment. You guys continue.
Perfect. Yeah, let me start, Pedro. So from my side, getting back to Glen's story about the seed. For me, there were two stories. The one thing being the seed that is successful. If I put in the ground, I'm going to fight the elements. I'm going to fight nature. I'm going to do everything in my mind not to die as a seed. I'm going to try and hang on to being a seed. For me, that's the one side of the story, and that's the side of trying to be successful. The other side of the story for me was really the side of saying, I want to be a significant seed. When I'm putting the ground, I'm seriously excited. I'm not like the successful seed that's fighting a struggle. I've gotten an opportunity and an excitement in me because I want to grow. I want to become a tree so that I can become part of a forest, so that I can do whatever I need to do. Create space for animals to live in, place for birds to make nests, provide oxygen for people to breathe, kind of thing. And I think that's what I took from Glen's story, was to say, I need to die in myself. I need to make a decision or have a mindset of saying, struggle versus excitement or opportunity, both of them are actually energies. It's an energy that I release. I must just decide how I am going to be using that energy. So struggle is a mindset choice. I can change struggle into something more positive. I can fight against it, or I can say, well, there's something useful in it. There's a learning experience. We were talking about the moth. There is a process that I'm going through, but the end result is going to be not success, but significance. And I think for me, that's the key thing. It comes through very strong for me daily. It's a case of saying, become significant, change your mindset. Things like struggle, problems, challenges, things like that doesn't exist for me anymore. I'm going through a very interesting patch in my life, but I'm seeing it as a learning experience. I'm seeing it as opportunities to learn more. And I think that's what I took from it. There's no point in being a seed that lies on the table, like Glen was saying. I need to get in the ground so that I can do what I need to do so that I can start growing to become a tree. And that's what I'm supposed to do. So that's what I took from it. Yeah, Pedro, from your side?
Yeah, that's good insights from you. So for me, from the message Glen has shared in terms of the seed, I remind myself that from the seed perspective is something that you not benefit yourself, but rather you benefit yourself and other people. Like the way seed do, it's almost create something very new and multiply. So for me, I take that opportunity saying that being a seed means that you have capability to multiply, and then the process of multiplication means that you will undergo certain processes, of which maybe struggle can be part of it, but at the end, then you have to celebrate. So that's when we come the word or this concept of after struggle means that you have been a seed, you have been germinated, you have been multiplied, and then you celebrate, which is after struggle. So the process through that, then we call a struggle, but not a real struggle per se, because in a nature life, the way we live in, we need to understand that whatever we are experiencing in life, it's a natural process. So you don't need to feel sad, you don't need to feel maybe easy, or maybe you don't need to feel like something that is out of the way, but basically it shapes you to become a person that you need to become. And to face that reality, then there's a certain kind of process that you need to go through. So it's not a matter of you maybe saying that I'm not fitting in this process, but it's a part of shaping you to become what you want to become. So being a seed, for me, is something that is incredible if you conceptualize that mindset, whereby you need to multiply. I've seen that whoever is able to understand that concept, you feel like very easy in terms of the process going through. For me, what I'm learning the most is when I'm starting to do something that is coming inside me. It's when I'm really helping other people instead of doing things that are outside of myself, which I'm not even capable of doing that. So being a concept of a seed is something that is coming within you, which becomes very easy for you to complete. So after struggle means shaping you to a person that you need to become, and you face the reality. So during facing the reality, don't feel like the challenges that you face in life, it's a normal process. So you need to take it and relax it, and you go through, and you pass that without any problem. So that gives you elimination of a negative mindset in terms of the way you go through it. So sometimes I refer to when various countries have gone through a process of getting revelation and those kind of stuff. You find that after struggle means that it's a place that you were supposed to go through that, and now you have achieved, so you celebrate. So that's what I can share my insights in terms of being a seed and also after struggle. So I love the word after struggle, means that I celebrate achievement every time. Like today, for example, I'm a different part of Dar es Salaam, but I'm really enjoying the place that I'm in today. You feel that, why are you here? Then I'm enjoying every moment of my life. So when you do that, you become happy, you celebrate, you share insights, you share with the people. Yeah, so that's it in life. Thank you.
Petro, Henny, I was listening to your talking, and I was just thinking for a moment. You know, I go on a walk around my neighborhood. It's about a 3-kilometer walk that I do, and what's interesting is along there's a palisade fence, a steel palisade fence in certain sections, and the birds like to sit on this palisade fence, and of course they do their droppings in the grass. And what's interesting is there's a certain kind of tree that is coming up all along this fence. And what I realized as I was listening to you speaking is that some seed happens to be inside a fruit that a bird likes or something else likes, and it takes that seed, swallows it, and takes it to another place that's completely away from its original place of birth. And then this seed, as it sounds a bit disgusting, but it passes all the way through the digestive system. It gets some fertilizer during the process, and it drops from the fence down to the soil, and it is prepared in the best way possible to germinate. So sometimes we go through a lot of I think somebody once said shift, SHIFT, shift. Or maybe the F can be deleted. But we go through some stuff in life, not realizing that this stuff that we're going through is actually just what we need to become fully who we are born to be. What are the other examples that you can think of that seed goes through in order to reach its final place where it can root itself? Any thoughts on that?
Nothing comes to mind. I'm just thinking once again in that scenario that you spoke about, the seed could have said, there's a struggle, I'm being eaten, etc., etc. Once again, if the mindset was one of saying, that means that I'm part of a process to become something bigger, um, I think that's what it should be. I mean, that seed in your example is part of something bigger. He's part of becoming significant by dying to self. Maybe it wasn't his choice, but he was there, and he was maybe inside a fruit, and he made the fruit look nice for something to happen to it. So I can't really think of any other examples of seed.
The kind of thing that I was thinking about, maybe Petra, I see he's nodding there. I was just thinking of maybe there's a talk that we should do called the journey of the seed, because the seed is birthed within the tree. In fact, the beginning of the seed is a flower. This beautiful flower, a bee comes along, pollinates the flower, the seed or the fruit begins its journey, and it goes through this wonderful process of looking attractive. It's edible. People want to pick it, and it's feeling all good about itself. It gets picked, and then suddenly things start turning south. And if it's not picked by any chance, the tree, the fruit eventually falls and rots, and the seed must have all kinds of interesting thoughts about what on earth is going on here. In some cases, wind comes and strips the seed off. Floods come and wash it away. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that a seed goes through before it actually finds a place where it roots itself. And yet, when we go through any little bit of difficulty in life, we seem to lose our marbles, as some people say, or we throw our toys out the cot instead of saying, "Hang on, I'm just on a journey. Yeah, I'm moving towards my resting place." Petra, you were nodding your head there. I'm sure you got some thoughts.
Yeah, when you are talking about the seed carried away by the bird, then I remembered something, that the journey of the seed, which you were just mentioning in a few minutes ago, when I was looking at where in our life you find yourself that you're in a different place, but you don't know why are you there. Then when you recall why are you there, then you find your purpose there. Then you are able to do something something that is transforming the society of that particular place, or maybe something that is very good for that place. Then I'm looking at the seed when it is carried out by like a river, takes through the water, through some concrete, through some stones, until to the end of the place. Then it becomes a tree, then provide a shade. Then people now enjoy that particular shade. Or maybe if you take a seed and you take it and go and plant somewhere. So it's like in our life, you find circumstance that takes you to a different place. Sometimes you may not recognize that place, but when you recall back, say, what is it? Why am I here? What's the purpose? Then you become someone which is very significant, or something very significant. So I'm looking at the transformation of the seed, the journey of the seed, like the journey of human being. Why did I born in Tanzania? Why in Dar es Salaam? Why not in another place? But when I realized that I have born here with purpose, then I'm able to transform and become something of significance. So that's how I try myself to recall from a seed concept mindset. Then it's something that when the seed concept mindset, it's something that when you really think through, then you find don't regret why you are in a certain place, why you are in a certain environment. There is a purpose in life why you are there at that particular time. So it's a matter of trying to shift into positive thinking. Then you are able to bring very significant purpose for you. But if you ignore that, the reason for being there, then you find yourself that you are wasting your time, or maybe you are wasting you to be there. Then people may not recognize you, but rather than you thinking that why I'm here, I have a purpose to be here, this moment, then you are able to transform the life. Thank you.
it's interesting how as I'm thinking about this process, journey of the seed, the journey of the seed. I was thinking about engineering and how, and maybe for people that are listening into this recording, they might think of development, construction. Petro is familiar with this environment. Both of you are familiar with the engineering environment. And I think it's always fascinating how you have the first site meeting before construction begins, and you arrive at the site, and there's nothing but vegetation covering the land, and all that you have in your hand is a plan of what's going to be there in the future. And that plan is on a piece of paper. It's just drawn on a piece of paper. It's ink on paper. And yet that seed, in a sense, that idea that is being put down on paper is able to initiate the transformation of that land, to flatten it, to reshape it, to put in its place a building, a road, a pipeline, whatever it might be. And I just think that's fascinating, that from a piece of paper with some ink on it, such transformation can happen. And so I'm just wondering to myself, what is it that you have to write on a piece of paper that's going to transform the world? Because your seed may be the words that you write on that piece of paper, the drawing that you make on that paper. Have you got some thoughts? I see we have Eve joining us from Kampala this evening as well. Eve, welcome. Lovely to have you joining us. I'll read what you've written in a moment. But Henny, over to you.
Yeah, I see Ruth has also joined us. So welcome, Ruth. I'm in story mode this week. As part of my job, I'm supposed to write user stories, and everything on the story side really fascinates me. And I was just thinking about getting back to our tree and our seed kind of thing. So a tree is actually a seed that became significant because it creates opportunity for lots of other seeds to start journeying on their way. And all of their journeys are not going to be the same. So every seed is going to be unique, and he's going to have his own unique journey. And he's got the opportunity to also go and be significant, to turn into a tree that will keep the cycle going. And I think for me, that is almost map for life. We need to be significant to the point where we get enough people to understand what they're doing so that they can go and become significant so that the cycle can continue. So I don't know, that's what I saw. And that's what I heard just now.
Yeah, Henny, I just remembered in 2006, I took on a project at my home, and that was to build a tree house. And I think it's every little boy's dream is to build a tree house. Well, I built this tree house for my children. After I finished building it and my wife saw it, they weren't allowed to go up there because it was 8 meters above the ground. So it was one of these really interesting tree houses. And but while I was building this tree house, I learned so much about the life cycle of a tree, and how some days there were birds, I mean, just at arm's length to me, that had found shelter in the tree during the rain. It provided different kinds of food to different bird species throughout the year. So some would come and eat the fruit. Others would come and pick up the seed that had left on the floor. Some would collect the leaves and use them to build nests. I mean, it's just fascinating to see the incredible ecosystem that was being developed just because one seed gave itself up to be a tree or released the tree within. And as I'm thinking about that, I'm realizing that you and I, when we connect with our purpose and begin to do what we were born to do without being focused on how much money am I going to make, how much glory am I going to receive, but rather be focused completely on a compelling vision that's going to have an impact on others. In the process of doing that, we are providing something far greater. We're not just a tree with fruit. We become a home. We become furniture. We become shelter. We become all kinds of things to many different other people or even species. And so it's our mandate to germinate our seed. And the only way to germinate our seed is to die to selfish ambition and have a greater ambition. And that is to allow God to work through you and release that God particle that's inside of you, the one that has eternal impact in mind. And so my little treehouse stories sort of coming back to me right now, and I'm realizing that there's so much more than just a tree inside the seed. Miles Monroe used this example in 1996 when I was asking the question of purpose. And he said something very interesting on that particular day. He said, it doesn't take much for people to count the number of seed inside a single apple. He said a first year of a grade 1 child would probably get the answer right. They would tell you exactly how many seeds.
Is it just me or Glen is frozen, eh?
Yeah, I can see Glen. Maybe connection is a bit challenging. So maybe if I can continue where Glen has finished talking.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to look at from the seed perspective is, for me, I'm looking at. I try to look at where we want to generate our freedom from. As a seed, it's not getting a fear of destruction. It doesn't have a fear of getting off from where it stands, because there is a bigger dream, or there is a bigger cause, which is a purpose for becoming a bigger thing in life. So when we think about becoming something bigger, something significant, then you find yourself that going through that process is there is that kind of destruction that might come along with it, of which now from a seed perspective, you need to bury the seed, you need to put whatever fertilizer, or maybe the soil itself that has its own mechanism of taking the seed out, and it knows what time it should come out. So basically it's like to have a bigger cause in life that brings us to avoid or maybe overcoming the fear that almost stands throughout our way. And when we have that kind of thinking and perspective, you realize that you are able to change. You are able to change the world. And for that cause of action, it brings us to a point of looking at what is exactly inside of us. Like Glen tried to mention earlier on during the discussion, the interview for Elon Musk, when there was discussing about people getting fear for artificial intelligence, taking their jobs, taking whatever they want to do. But to be honest, there is no need to get worried, because what you need to change to yourself and maybe to the world is not something that is outside of you. It is something that inside of you. So when you pursue that interest, when you pursue that cause of action, then you are able to change whatever things that are happening. Because we as human beings, we are not being detected by a machine or whatever. It's something that is inside us. And we know that everyone is unique. So like a seed, when it germinates and multiply, So it's one seed becomes many seed, becomes many things in life. And from us, we work the same. So from a mind that we have, we can generate various. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So you can be able to generate various course of actions, of which now the benefit becomes to yourself and to the rest of the society. So we're not supposed to get worried of what is happening, rather than for us to just provide an input to whatever things that is happening today. So if you look back, the way things were there historically, Elon Musk was not there. So it's just a matter of bringing us to certain concept of what should I bring to this world. So I should be the change. I should be the seed that changing a certain environment, and whatever I need to do now, so I should do to provide good things in this world and to the society, to change whatever we want to see the future. So that's what I'm taking a story from, and something I wanted to share from my personal perspective. When Glen was talking about engineering and construction, things like those ones, then came to my mind that when you visit the site, it is nothing. It's bare land. Maybe it's the environment is quite different. So I love the most when you stay, like maybe after 1 month, then you go to that place again, you find total environment have changed. So if you wanted to build a house or you wanted to build a certain building, then you find the building is there, but where the building came from, it's from the mindset, it's from conceptualization, it's from ideas. So whether from idea of whoever is owning the house, or from the engineering point of view, from the architect, or from the contractor, or from a construction company. So you find out that the things that we are able to make and change the world, they are not coming from outside. It's coming from us, and it's from our mind. So whatever you see today, even this platform that we are using, it came from someone's mind, not from the fear that there is an artificial intelligence or there is someone that is taking my place. Nobody will take your place except yourself. Thank you, Annie. Maybe you can share more insights.
I can add to what you're saying there, and let me put it differently to make sure that I understand what you said there right now. What you're saying is stay and become a seed that grows into a tree no matter what happens. So no matter whether AI is invested, no matter if there is floods, no matter whatever the case might be, remain the seed with a purpose to become a tree, and nothing can get in your way. Am I understanding you 100% correct?
That is definitely, you have clarified and make it very simple and summarized.
Great stuff. So let's look at the time. Glen has gone down. His power and his backup power is down. So he's got one of those 4-hour sessions. So he's down. I think there's going to be enough time. I see there's still a lot of people online. If there's something that you want to post as a closing comment from your sides, please put something down there. I think then we can start closing down. I think I'm going to hit load shedding in the next 5 minutes or so as well. So then I might as well die. So yeah, I think from my side, before I leave you with a quote, I think I would like to reiterate what Petro said, because it is so true. Have a compelling vision and go and live that vision. Nothing in this world can stop you from achieving it if your mind is set to it. Go and be the seed you need to be that will evolve into a tree. And don't let anybody or anything stop you from just doing that. Petro, from your side, any closing comments? Anything you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, for me, connecting to the seed concept basically is avoid fear. Means that the seed doesn't fear any environment, whether it's drought, whether it's rain, whether it's sunny. So it will always germinate and multiply. So that comes to us as human beings. Don't get any fear for whatever environment or circumstance. Stay where you are and do exactly what interest is avoid being distracted, because you are unique and original. So you need to stay unique and original. Avoid copying. Don't fear for whatever changes of the world will bring, because it is the evolution for this world have started since the world. We don't know exactly when the world started, so we'll be there then when our times come, but we should have made an impact in this world, because we are born with purpose. Then we need to live with this world with a purpose, and as life it brings, then we need to celebrate and enjoy and live a significant life. No regret, no excuses, no fear. We'll be able to achieve whatever we want in life. And just to finish with that, as you have mentioned, as we need to multiply always. So as a seed, don't remain the way you are. Do something. Do something that will change the society. Do something that will change yourself. Whatever we want, it is within us. It is not outside of us. So it's not material things that we see outside with these our naked eyes, but things that we see with our inner eyes, basically from the mind, from the soul, from the spirit. Then we are able to change the world and society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Such wise words. So many hidden gems within what you said there. I'm just quickly looking. I'm not seeing anything from anybody else. From my side, then, just two things. The first thing, Glen spoke about struggle, and you mentioned fear there just now. For me, I almost feel like struggle and fear and some of the other things, hate, etc., all of it is energy. We just have, sometimes we have positive and we have negative energy. If I see struggle as something negative, I'm converting it into negative energy. If I see struggle as something positive, as a learning experience or a process that I have to go through to be shaped to become more significant, then struggle is not going to be something negative. So remember, you decide, like you said, it's on the inside. You decide what you're going to do with that energy. Use the energy as a seed to go and do what you need to do, and don't get sidetracked with negative things and go and waste energy on that. I'm going to close with, before I close, thank you very, very much for everybody. Oh, now my machine is freezing. Oh, Daylo has joined us. I can't forget having a meeting with you one-on-one in Pretoria, South Africa. Cool. Yeah, thank you very much for everybody, for your inputs, for being there. Thank you for being part of what we're doing. Let's go and do what we need to do. And I think my closing quote, where did it go now, is really, there we go. I'm also going now. No, I'm back. So everybody, until next week, go and be a seed, go and make a difference, go and glow, go and become a tree, be the tree that you need to be. Thank you very much. Have an awesome evening, an awesome week. Looking forward to meeting with you next week. Thank you very much, Petro.
Thank you very much, honey. So have a